and welcome to Studio Nicole. I am Nicole, and I am so happy that you're here with me this morning. I have tried to record this video like 6 times, and I keep getting interrupted by phone calls or other random things. It feels like a comedy of errors. I feel like I'm living in a Three Stooges video here. Hopefully, I can get through it this time. I wanted to take a little bit of time this morning to talk to you about the different kinds of art journals that you might be able to use. When I first started doing this, I didn't realize that I had so many options. And so I want to share with you some of the different kinds of journals or things that are not even journals that I have used over the years to make art in. So I did start in just a pre-made journal. This right here is a Jane Davenport journal, and I started with this one. Um, it is from 2019. My very first ever art journal page was January 1st, 2019. And I remember using several different art journaling techniques that I had been watching on YouTube and learning about, and I wanted to try them myself. So I have some decoupaged napkins over a collage background. I used a Pitt artist pen to shadow, and then I didn't like the brown, so I went in with a black, but the black didn't smudge. This was before I discovered the Stabilo All pencil. There is some handwriting and some mark making and some stamping. And over here is some stenciling that kind of didn't come out very crisp. And I inked my edges with an ink pad. The title, Life is an Adventure, was stamped onto book paper. I think it turned out pretty well. Overall, I'm pretty happy with my first art journal page ever. And I don't love some of the ones that came after that as I branched out and explored different mediums and different products. But art journaling is definitely a practice. It is a process, and you don't always love what you end up with. This is definitely not my favorite page. But you learn as you go. You learn what you like, you learn what you don't like, you learn how the materials work together, you learn what color palettes you prefer and enjoy. And I think that if you're always doing the same thing over and over again, then what's the fun in that? You're not really learning anything, you're not really growing in any way. So I'm all about experimentation, and with that comes pages that you don't like. So uh, there are other kinds of pre-made journals, just besides this one that I also have worked in. I have a couple of other options over here. This one, for example, I work in this, well, I guess sometimes I work in it vertically, but sometimes I work in this horizontally, and that kind of allows me to just work on a different shaped space. Um, so you could look for a book that is aligned horizontally instead of vertically. You could look for something that's entirely different. This is a leather bound journal that my husband gifted me. And I think this works really well with a specific kind of journaling. So in this one, I've actually only started this fairly recently. In this one, I'm doing a much more vintage inspired journaling practice, and I'm using my own images. These are photographs that I've taken that I have then digitally altered to make them look vintage, to make them look old, like old photos. Um, and it allows me to use sort of a different kind of supply and a different kind of aesthetic. And I really like it, actually. So, consider whether you want to work in something more modern or whether you want to explore a style that's a little bit different. Um, this is my current journal that I'm working in right now. It is a pre-made journal. Um, it's got pretty heavy pages, and I like this one for right now. But I'm also working in a bunch of different journals at once. I never am just working in just one. So here is another journal that I'm working in, and this is an altered book. I bought this at a Goodwill. It is a Reader's Digest, Marvels and Mysteries of the Animal World. It's huge, and working in such a large journal really kind of forces you to think differently about your materials. You need to have something that's going to take up some space on the page. Um, and so you really need big focal points and big words in order to make something like this work. And I love it. I love that it does kind of force me. Sorry, I'm way out of the frame here. It does force me to think differently about what I'm doing, and to kind of explore larger compositions on the page, or just filling up more space. It's not necessarily larger composition, but it certainly gave me plenty of time to work. So this is an altered book, as I said, and you can absolutely do this in any size. I also have this Contours of Change, which was a yearbook of agriculture from 1970. I bought this at a yard sale for probably 50 cents and turned it into an art journal. I just glued several of the pages together. Whenever I sat down to start working, I would grab 2 or 3 pages and glue them together. You can tell now that they're starting to kind of come apart. Like, I guess I didn't glue the edges so well as I could have, but it's working. It holds up. Um, so this is definitely an option if you don't want to buy a journal. This is a much more affordable way to get started. I also love that you start with book text already. I have a tendency to collage my backgrounds anyway, but you don't have to. You can always just use the book text that exists and start working right over top of that. So this is an option. This is just a regular size book. We got big books, and you also could try to find a little teeny tiny book. And I love working in a small journal just as much as I love working in a big journal. Again, for the same reason, it forces you to think differently about your composition, about your materials. This is a hockey book. Um, Again, I picked this up at a yard sale for maybe 50 cents, and it's about, NHL. And so I have just been covering the pages and working really small. Now it's falling apart. That's the downside of working in an altered book, is that you want to make sure it's got a strong spine, or you might end up with it coming apart like this one is. But I'm sure I can fix it somehow. I'm not sure how yet, but one of these days I will jump into that. It lets me work small. It gives me just a few minutes of creative time. If I don't have a lot of time or a lot of energy, this is one way that I can um, just, get in there and spend a few minutes being creative. But I don't have a lot of space to fill. So it feels very approachable on days when I just don't have the energy or the time. So I encourage you to think small or think big. Um, so these are definitely options if you just want to pick up a book and start art journaling. The other option that I have really enjoyed would be a handmade art journal. And I have made several of these. I have quite a few of them that I can share and talk about here. Uh, so these are handmade, and most of them I've done a stitched spine. This one I think is just a no-sew spine. Um, but they allow you to kind of work on a variety of substrate papers. I just kind of use book pages and scrap papers and things that I probably won't use in other projects, and I build. Let's see, this one might still have some empty pages kind of at the end that I haven't quite finished yet. Well, not really. I guess I've almost finished this one because there aren't very many blank pages, but it really is just a hodgepodge of um, crazy little pages, and I love it. It's also very approachable. You don't have to worry about will the page turn out perfectly, because in a journal like this, you don't really expect every page to turn out perfectly. You just want each page to express something, right? That's kind of my goal with these pages is to get something that's in my head out onto paper. Um, so these are really fun. This handmade journal is chunky. This was a gratitude journal that I did in 2021 for the 100-day project. So each page of this journal was kind of an ode to something that I'm grateful for. And various people in my life show up and various things. Um, my kids. And just various things that make me happy and that make me feel grateful. It's very interactive. It's a different style journal than anything I had done up to that point, and I love it. It's got some reading and some journaling kind of tucked here and there. There's definitely pages that um, have little pieces that flip and unclip and so on. So yeah, this is a fun one to do. I'm not going to do a full flip through, but this was just handmade. These are all very eclectic pages as well. It's kind of a mix of all sorts of things. I did start a new one in the same style, and I haven't gotten very far into it yet. So this kind of gives you an opportunity to see what it looks like before I work on it. The pages are very random. It's a whole variety of different things. And I never know what's coming next. So sometimes the page that I start with is what inspires the final product, and sometimes I just cover it up because I don't love it or it doesn't work with what my idea is. So this is a great way to really get creative, and I do also think that this is a very approachable way to art journal because, like, how anxious can you be about covering up an envelope, right? It's not like a pristine, beautiful journal with a clear white page. Um, so I just feel like this is a great way to get started. If the blank page makes you anxious, this is an option for you. So, handmade journals. Oh, I have one more over here. This one was super fun. I do want to take the time to show you this because I loved working in this. It was a magazine spine. And so I cut a magazine and then tore each page sort of progressively larger. So the first page is really tiny, and then the next page is a little bit wider and a little bit wider and a little bit wider. Um, I And then I just used the bits and pieces from my stash to kind of fill each page. Each one is a little different. This was pretty early um, in my art journaling process, I think. And it was super fun. It was a super fun way to explore some different things and um, very low pressure again, because how could I possibly mess something like this up? It kind of was just here to be whatever it is, and there were no expectations for what it would end up like. So that was a fun little project. And again, it didn't take a lot to get started. It's just a magazine, and you kind of cut it up and cover over it. So there we go, folks. We have pre-made books, we have handmade books, we have really, really big books, and we have really, really small books. We have books that we use for gratitude journaling, and books that we use for vintage images, and books that we just want to pick up and start art journaling. There's lots of choices, is really the message. And so thank you so much for joining me today. It looks like we did manage to get all the way through this video. So I'm going to count this as a win and I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. I will see you in the next video, folks. Have a great day.